When I first saw this house, one of the features that felt too good to be true was the huge pantry that is right through this door. This is a photo of the space from the realtor's listing. We were told that this room used to function as the kitchen, but when they converted part of the L on the back of the house into a new kitchen, this space became a classic Butler's pantry, connecting the kitchen to the dining room. We moved all of our things in and started using the space right away. 18 months later, I finally started to work on improving it. Here is the pantry before I get started. It has plumbing kind of boxed in so that we can open it up and access it. And similarly, this panel drops down to access the plumbing of the upstairs bathroom. There's some water damage here. There's this pretty hideous fluorescent light up above that I want to take down. Light fixtures down, and check out this super shiny brown paint. All right, so this has just the sample, and I have pictures every step of the way of leaving some parts of it, but this is all of the trim painted, the crown painted, and the ceiling painted. The other thing I'm excited to do is pull this linoleum out. I took a peek in the corner here. It looks like pine boards that are running horizontally across. It's a small space, and even if I paint them because they're miserable, it's better than this linoleum, so I'm excited to pull that up. And this is what we have underneath. Not looking like a bunch of fun. But I am going to, I don't know, I've changed my mind a bunch of times here. I've said like, no, I'm not going to do this. Then like, well, maybe I'll just hold it back, not continue to rip it so that I can lay it back down. But I just kind of want to test how hard it is to get this glue off. So I'm going to try a couple of methods I've found online and see if any of them work before I decide if I'm going to plow forward or just put this back like I never pulled it up. Do I feel a little impulsive right now? Yeah, I do. I, however, have found that it scrapes off. No harm. You can handle that. We now have a scraper and a hack-a-vac. So, I mean, come on. I should do this, right? I should take it up. I should get it out of here and just start scraping. All right, I started thinking about this about 9 o'clock this morning, and it's noon. So 3 hours later, and actually a good bit of that time was indecision. It wasn't actually working. The linoleum is out. The bulk of the black stuff is off inside the HEPA vac. We have two kinds of flooring at least. There's these boards, and then we shift into slightly wider, lighter boards. So maybe this is fir, looks a little bit like fir. And then pine all the way down, which is perfectly lovely. I'm so excited. So I think the next step is to sand the floors, or I don't know, I'm just gonna like take a moment to breathe. But I'm glad I'm doing this before I paint. And oh boy, is it gonna look amazing, that color with the wood floors. I don't know why it takes me so long to think of things sometimes. I realized recently that I could take this old linoleum that's like not cleanable off, but in my head I thought I need to take the whole countertop off and find some kind of wood to put down. And then I was just clearing it off, and I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe today I'm just gonna knock the whole thing off. And I was like, well, before I do that, I should take this off. And now I'm like really curious what's under here. What kind of wood is this? Just plywood? What if this linoleum was added in the 60s or whenever, but the wood underneath it was the countertop for, this used to be the kitchen, they told me, and that there was a porch that extended right here. What if there's something cool under here? I don't know, I'm gonna see. All right, very interesting here. This is not plywood, unless it's possible that this edging piece hides, yeah, and that this is plywood, but this edging piece is thicker. But either way, I think taking off the linoleum a little bit more before I just pull all of this off is maybe a good idea, because maybe this will be just fine, and it's already cut to the right size. Instead of finding some other wood to put on top, this might just work. I tried all sorts of things to figure out what's going to be the most efficient way to get this off. The first thing is, while it's still dry, like before I wetted it all, I've just been sort of scraping whatever's loose off. Once I get all of that cleaned up, then I was using vinegar and water, but then I found my wallpaper stripper, and I just tried that right here, and it worked really well. And it actually worked even better using this. I have a little more control than with this wallpaper scraper, which is more rigid. I am going to try to just plow through and get all of this gunk up. I love it. And it seems like they had this down at least while they were maybe building the cabinets, because there's all these paint splatters on it. But it kind of looks cool and I may kind of love it. So I hope I haven't done too much damage, but actually I think the moral of the story is that like all of the abuse it's taken is what makes it interesting. There are seams you can see here and here. So I believe they laid this down. It could have been a countertop in and of itself and then got covered. Or they could have put it down and covered it, but put it down with wood that is the 3/4 of an inch thick. So this is face grain, and that's all I want, right? Is face grain wood countertop. And I have it. It is here. It exists. Oh my God. And it's got all kinds of character. Okay, I'm trying to decide if I want to sand this with the palm sander. There's still some irregularities that I like, but it does remove, you know, all of the patina. Not that there needs to be patina, but I'm just curious how it compares to just a light hand sanding. Now that doesn't remove the paint splashes. So I'm just gonna do just like a quick wipe with water to approximate what the tung oil will do. Like the patina better. What does that mean for the paint splotches? I don't know. And it's possible that tung oil will darken this. It's also possible that I could put a stain on it, maybe. But I really like how this looks. All right, I just put a little early American stain here. And it does still, like it allows you to see more of the imperfections in the wood, but the wood is more smooth and regular. I don't know. I think I need to think about it a little more, but my realization is that I can darken it back up if I clean it all down. Trying to decide if this is enough. I'm going to put a stain over my cleaned wood. Mostly what happened when I got down here, this set of boards was very ridged this way. So no, this way. So I tried to get all of that out. This one wasn't, but this has a lot of gray on it. But I tend to think that this is gonna look kind of cool. I can't cut my beadboard because all of our extension cords are being used to disassemble a garage. But I'm glad that I don't have to rush to make a decision here because I don't really know if I want to stain it. I have wet down the pine to reveal any things that I don't want in the finished product. And a lot of the things that are here are kind of cool and I like them. I even think I'm gonna leave this kind of messiness in the wood still. But what I'm gonna get rid of, I've marked with things that were just in the cabinets above. I just placed them as it was wet before it dried. I didn't wanna forget. Like right here, I'm gonna get that paint up. Damage from the sander, because I put it on edge with enthusiasm, because I've got that spiral mark. We can now confirm that this pine was not likely used as the countertop, but instead this was the top of the cabinets built in place and used as a work surface to build the uppers and to put all the linoleum on, because this perfectly beautiful rectangle seems to have been how they cut out the hole for that. And all of these cut marks, you know, I could imagine that the person is just standing here building these cabinets in place and like slicing because they know they're going to put this beautiful linoleum on top of the wood. No one would ever want to use this wood except for me. I'm not really happy with this color. I don't like the honey color that's here. And even with the light off, you can see. It's just like a little honeyed. I don't know how to describe it other than that. I think the thing I don't like is that it's not enough dimension in the grain. And I think it's possibly because I was going over it with the sander at 150. And I might have polished up the surface too much, and so it didn't really absorb down. It's sort of sitting just on the top. That's the effect I think I'm seeing. What I'm going to do now is hand sand with 150 a little bit, just to see if I can kind of expose the grain in certain places. I'm not sure it'll be visible, but I think, and this always happens when I stain things, that if I just come back and sand it a little bit, it adds back in the depth and variation that I want. So what I just did here made the grain lighter, and I want that contrast. And over here, it just feels too even. Well, yeah, I get why people like poo-poo staining wood and why lots of people would prefer to use a nice quality wood and just put an oil on it. I just want it to look old. The way it did right after I cleaned off the adhesive. It's just that I wanted the paint splotches gone. So I've given myself a lot more work in order to make that happen. Feeling really good about my progress. I got the side pieces cut down. This short one here is gonna go over here. I just need to cut out the holes for the outlets and the switches. All of these pieces are waiting to go in. And I think I'm really happy with the countertop. I just put one coat of wipe on poly so far. And I'll come back and add more because I'm super excited about being able to use all the baking things here and like roll out dough on this surface. So I really want to get some polyurethane on it because it's not butcher block and it's stained. If it was wood that was gorgeous, I would absolutely oil it, but it has stain on there and it just needs to be sealed up, basically like our kitchen table. I've been waiting for a less humid day to put the finish on because the first coat that I put down was tacky for a long time. It was a very humid day when I was working, but it is gorgeous and 75 degrees outside. So the window's open. I'm gonna set a fan up to kind of keep the air circulating and let it dry. I'm trying not to do the thing I always do when I have to do precise measurements and make ridiculous mistakes by eyeballing. So I used this paper to create a template. I'm gonna cut the rectangle out of the paper, and then I'm gonna hold that right up to the beadboard to mark my cut. Alright, I mean, if I had done something as simple as watch the video when Devin put the beadboard in, I would have seen that you actually have to take this off. So I've killed the power now to this. Take these off, pull them through, and attach them to the beadboard. So I kind of can't get away with using this piece at this point. But I did paint more than I needed, so I should be able to cut another side piece from what I already have painted. Devin suggested using the finish nailer instead of the brad nailer, so I could use 2-inch long nails or whatever. And I'm gonna figure out a way to hold this up to the proper height while I nail it. I'm not gonna worry about shimming, even though I did hold it up and there's an extreme bow in the wall. All right, let's see. It's very satisfying. Hot diggity. Oh my God. Like a badass. That looks amazing. Everything is beautiful. All of everyone. All right. I was feeling pretty confident. Now I'm not. Pretty sure I will have made some sort of mistake. I have this strong fear that I'm going to catch myself being electrocuted. Alright, it seems unlikely that this last piece will go in just right because I did a rough estimate. Nope. Alright, did I do it? Let's see. Ooh. I think I did. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Snug, snug, snug. I am so proud of myself. I did it. I've cut everything and I was about to make the final cuts. And I'll be honest, I was going to just leave this unnailed for many more weeks. But I decided to attach attach it before I make the final cut so that I don't have a strange gap here when everything pulls tight. So I got the compressor and the same nail gun and talked through it with Devin, who suggested nailing the shortest piece first so that if it does anything weird, I do have extra. I'm not wasting a huge perfectly cut piece or messing it up. Yes! This one was it wasn't deep enough, but I changed it. This was good. The silly thing is that I now have to cut this, and I just nailed it in. Maybe it wasn't the best idea in the world. Not fully thought through, I wouldn't say. Whoa, hit something there.
I just broke a piece of trim that I don't know if I can easily replace.
Lark, how did that happen?
Well, it's finger jointed, so there was a nail through it, but it snapped off at the finger joint.
How do you like this totally waviness?
I don't notice.
Cool. Yeah, good. If you just look really fast, you don't notice. Whew. That might have gone clean through. Not sure it's holding anything. It's important that I finish this project so we can stop putting everything here, but that's just silly because we will always put junk on this counter.
Mom, can I have my snack?
Sure.
Can I have a smoothie?
Yes, let's make smoothie.
Thanks. Have my smoothie. Oh,
Boys, you left the door open.
Mom, can I-
All right, I'm hoping to reveal that even a pretty imprecise installation and pretty shoddy caulking job, when finally done, can look pretty snazzy. I'm hopeful that it will at this point. I am planning to move my LED strips to a track along the back corners, and I forgot that I was going to do that, so I started caulking this big gap and then remembered, oh yeah, when I was putting it in, I said, oh Mary, that's just going to be covered with a track. Don't worry about making that great. Where the pieces of beadboard meet, put a caulk, and I've added caulk into the nail holes where they're not sunk down. So just trying to capture how shoddy it all is and hoping that it doesn't look so bad once the paint is on.